Radio Free Skaro! Hello, everyone. Welcome to Radio Free Skaro, episode number 870. I am Stephen in Edmonton.
Warren in Vancouver.
And Chris in Edmonton.
We're all a little bit tired today, for no reason. This isn't a bit. We're not starting a bit. We're just, I'm just explaining to you up front right now. It's taken a long time for us to get up to energy here to record
we're tired.
a podcast.
We're tired from the deluge. The absolute swampedness of the Doctor Who news that has
and
hit
the
us
endless
this week.
wait for October, whenever.
Well, so on this episode of this here podcast, we'll be talking about the Doctor Who magazine 30-page feature on the power of the Doctor. We have a title now. This is the last time, hopefully, that we ever have to say Doctor Who BBC Centenary Special ever again, because now we have a very generic title to call this episode by. It was so desperately spoilerific that it needed to be concealed from the public for 6 months that we never find out about this, and it's just the power of the Doctor.
But it's not official. This is Doctor Who magazine official, right?
It's official, is it?
Well, it's official.
Doctor Who magazine is it's the official publication.
I suppose
Warren.
so then.
This
Well,
is not
it's
some fan mail.
Poorly leaked out then.
No, it's printed right there in the magazine, Warren, is where it is.
I'm just saying they could have put a little more fanfare into this and just putting in the magazine.
Well, the thing is they couldn't by decree, because of I don't know if you heard this, Warren, but the Queen Elizabeth II died last week, and so Operation London Bridge went into effect, and basically there's been a media blackout from all BBC announcements and publications and stuff, and their subsidiaries. So Doctor Who magazine falls under that. They could put the magazine out, but they couldn't tweet about it. So of all the irony is that, basically I bet you the BBC said, okay, that week of September, 11th onwards, we are going to have ourselves a press bonanza with the Queen died. No, we can't. This is why you don't put all your promotional eggs in one basket, because you never know when the Queen's going to die, and that's exactly what happened.
You do now. So
now they don't. They had no ability to actually promote their show, which they have waited so long to not promote.
I was gonna say, but given the precedent of lack of promotion, and this doesn't surprise me in any way.
No, but in retrospect, all you had to do at the end of the very subpar Legend of the Sea Devils, it's to say you have the next time trailer, and at the very end, coming soon, the power of the Doctor.
Doctor Who will return in the power of the Doctor.
The power of the Doctor. It's such a generic title that, why would you hide that? I don't understand. But
I mean, look at Name of the Doctor, and introducing John Hurt as the Doctor, blowing all our minds for months at a time.
We had something to talk about. We had the trailer, but we didn't have the title of the episode, and it wasn't even much of a title to hold from the public. It kind of bogs me, but that's right. We only have one more episode of this kind of promotion to get through. I bet you this week, I'm betting that probably, because, fair dues to the Doctor Who magazine, but they're not usually the choice to unveil things first, and I'm sure that wasn't the choice. All things considered, it was planned probably weeks in advance. But I'm guessing that probably this week there's going to be a trailer, probably maybe on Tuesday or Wednesday, once the Queen's funeral has happened on Monday and there's a national day of mourning, or if you're in Alberta here, it's a national day of working and silent, quiet reflection while you get to work.
Yeah, that's us too in BC.
Yeah. So I'm betting that there's probably going to be a trailer to accompany all the, or maybe some photos, some of which you see in the Doctor Who magazine preview. Those will probably be out on the internet a little more. But it was weird though, because people who got Doctor Who magazine early, on Wednesday, they read it and it says, "Oh, it looks like the episode's called The Power of the Doctor." And everyone was Are we allowed to say this on the internet? If you read it in a magazine, there's a thing's called The Power of the Doctor. And even now it's like, all right, no, the BBC hasn't actually said anything yet because they can't say anything. Are we allowed to talk about it? It was an odd time. We're in odd times right now when it comes to Doctor Who promotion. You know what I mean?
But more of the same, really, too.
Yeah, oddly in a way. Rather fitting, I feel that we're doing this. But anyway, we've all had a look at the preview with Sacha Dhawan leading the charge. There's a big interview with Sacha Dhawan. The Radio Times picked up on the fact that Doctor Who magazine compared Sacha Dhawan appearing in the last episode of Jodie Whittaker and potentially the last episode of Sacha Dhawan's Master, who knows, as the Reichenbach Falls moment. And so the Radio Times leaped on that and put an article out about the Reichenbach Falls. So that is 100% confirmed to happen. There's going to be a fight at the falls in The Power of the Doctor, and they're both going to fall to their deaths. I have no idea. I'm just surmising, but
speculation.
It's all speculation. They had interviews with Sacha Dhawan, with Janet Fielding, Sophie Aldred, Patrick O'Kane, and a brief one with Ray Holman, who tweaked the Gallifreyan cyber design from the Timeless Children, and it's reappearing here in this episode. We can talk about all that because it's officially in Doctor Who magazine. These aren't spoilers. These aren't or anything like that, but. I was delighted, I guess, by the Janet Fielding interview because she admits right there, like, I haven't done TV acting for like 35 years. Like, she's been in Big Finish and stuff like that. But I was pleased to see her admit that she was very nervous about being, on screen again. And I can't imagine how big a transition that is, from like just not being on camera. You just think it's going to be like riding a bike or something, but it's not. There's an actual thing to it, and it's not like the old, the multi-camera days where you're in rehearsal for like 12 days and then you go and shoot it and stuff. So it's like, okay, welcome back on set, Janet Fielding. Here's your lines. Say them now. Terrifying.
Yeah, I'm sure that the way TV is produced is one of the bigger shocks. But it's not like she's been a million miles away from TV.
No, she's been sort of adjacent to it for quite some time. She was an agent for a while, wasn't she?
Yeah,
well,
she was Paul McGann's agent. She was Paul McGann's agent.
Yeah, that was many years ago, though.
I know, but
years ago.
I'm saying it's not like she's been away from her for the whole 36 or 8 years or whatever the article says.
Now, here's my question.
Yeah.
Given the people who make Toast of London are clearly Doctor Who fans, did they base the Jane Pluff character on Janet Fielding as an agent?
I don't know. That would be amusing if they did. It would be kind of funny. I don't think so. No. Plus, she's still been doing the role for Big Finish too, so she hasn't been away from the role, just like Sophie Aldred. But like they both haven't been in this sort of situation for quite a while, having kind of left acting behind a little bit. So it's cool, and like it's both of them thought that like, oh, okay, I'll say yes, but we know it's just going to be a cameo. Like both of them basically just thought it was going to be that. It says, nope, you're in it. You're in the whole episode. So. Intriguing. And there's a shot of them, like it's kind of cool. There's like a whole shot of like 5 women basically. There's Yaz, there's Tegan, there's Ace, there's the Doctor, there's Kate Stewart, who's in this special as well. Like Doctor Who has never been so female driven, and maybe never will be again, given what's coming after this. So
this thing is stuffed to the gills with like characters, because there's Daleks and the Master and Cybermen and these old characters and Kate Stewart and probably a few other people they're going to throw in the mix too. Like,
right.
That's a lot of people to wrangle. Characters, I mean.
I know. We see them all in the trailer. It's not like they'll have equal weight in the episode. Yeah. Probably. Hope not, because that would be a bit of a jamble. But I know the amount of Daleks that I've heard about, like there aren't really any shots of Daleks in here. There weren't many in the trailer. I kind of feel like the Daleks are probably like in a pre-title sequence, right. And then that's it or something like that.
Oh, you got a shot, and he's kind of a big deal, so probably the Cybermen figure more than.
Yeah, given that they've redesigned them and stuff, and they're kind of the Master's Army by the looks of it, and Patrick O'Kane's back for some reason. I don't know. Somehow Ashad survived, which I'm glad. I like that character, and in retrospect, it was funny how the Master disposed of him. But then I was thinking, that was kind of dumb how they disposed of him so quickly.
Ashad returned.
He did return. So they have an interview with him in there too. So yeah, it's nice to have an actual tangible thing to look forward to as opposed to like a thing that's in the far off future that doesn't even have a name yet. So I don't know how are you does this change your anticipation or lack thereof at all?
No, not really. I'm just in this weird mental shield where I'm like, well, when this happens, it happens, because they're not going to tell me about it. So
yeah, no, not for me.
So even when they have, I'm like, man, whatever.
Mm-hmm. Well, where were you at though in the first place? Were you like,
middling
episode? Really? How come? How come, Warren?
I don't know. It's just probably because of lack of any promotion whatsoever. They're not really hyping it up. That might change in the next 2 weeks or so, but
it probably will.
Just up to now, it's been like, well, they don't care, so I don't care. Basically, I mean, I still want to see it, obviously, but they're going out of their way to not make me excited about this, from what I can tell.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The apathy might be the wrong word. The choice to not promote from the production team or the BBC or Centenary team, etc., made me blasé about the whole thing. And
yeah, blasé is a great way to put it. It puts a real damper on it.
I mean, this is like, okay, cool. So I got a little something to sink my teeth into now, but if your hunch is right, Stephen, about there being a trailer in the next handful of days, that is a little bit more substantial.
Yeah,
and that might start to get the salivary glands going. But
right.
We'll see.
I mean, we complain about like, oh, this is Chibnall and everything like that. I mean, I just think this is kind of the BBC. So earlier this week as well, because the BBC haven't been allowed to announce anything other than that the Queen has died. That's a thing that they've been able to talk about. But Stephen Moffat, you remember him? He was the showrunner of Doctor Who before Chris Chibnall took over. He's got his own show coming out. It's called Inside Man.
With David Tennant.
It stars David Tennant, who was in Doctor Who before, as you know, and will be again. And he said on Twitter, he's rarely on Twitter as Stephen Moffat. He sort of joined up for the live tweet-alongs that Emily Cook arranged back in the glory days of the pandemic. And he tweets out on September 14th, "Oh, we've announced this Finger on the Pulse meet. And Inside Man starts on BBC One, 9 p.m. Monday, 26th of September." So 12 days before the broadcast, the BBC actually say, oh, by the way, this is when it's airing. So it's not just Doctor Who. It's not just Doctor Who. It's the BBC that's wrong. It's the BBC that is wrong, because it's awful that we have to wait so long just to get a broadcast date or anything else from anything that airs on the BBC.
I like how you bring this up, despite the fact that it's been this way for a very long time.
Yeah, and
we've been aware that it's been this way for a very long time.
It so needs to change. So Edmonton Expo happened this past weekend. Chris, you were debating about going, never did. I was sort of like, I was never really thinking of going because there's no Doctor Who content whatsoever. No panels.
We were definitely going to go, and then alas, there were quite a number of guests who dropped out, and
they had a lot of problems. Yeah,
our list of people who we wanted to see dwindled until it could dwindle no more.
But none of them were Doctor Who people, and there was no actual Doctor Who panel on it. I'm just thinking, this is Doctor Who exists in this world, and I know I've said this a lot on this podcast, but when we're kind of blasé about the episode coming up because Doctor Who just isn't as front facing as it used to be, and
we're easily pleased. We're easily pleased.
Yeah.
I mean, how front facing can it be when there's 3
There's
episodes in a year,
right?
6 months between episodes, no promotion for, the last episode for a Doctor. I was going to say that's a tough sell, but that's the problem is they're not trying to sell it.
And not only that, there's inadvertent promotion of 2 more Doctors to come. So we've got that to look forward to, and we're being told about it as opposed to what's happening now. So that's a problem as well.
Whittaker's exit being overshadowed by Gatwa's announcement and Tennant's announcement and filming and set reports from Tennant's appearance and Gatwa doesn't even start filming for another 2 months.
2 months,
give or take.
2 months, November.
So yeah.
So that means we'll see the costume at some point pretty soon, hopefully.
Maybe. Well, also, I'm just trying to think here. About Doctor Who, and what was I going to say? I was going to say something about Doctor Who, and I lost my train of thought. Dag nabbit.
That's hard to believe.
On the Doctor Who podcast, no less.
I know. I had it.
Was it going to involve the space pirates?
It was not going to involve the space pirates.
Believe.
No.
Yeah. Milo Clancy. No.
I know what it was. Doctor Who magazine promises that the preview stuff will continue in their next issue, which I think is October 13th, the Wednesday before October 16th, which is the day we largely expect the power of the Doctor, which I think is more in
Thursday.
Thursday. It comes on Thursday.
DWM comes on Thursday.
Wednesday for me because it's like midnight UK time.
Midday Thursday. Yeah.
I always associate Wednesdays with Doctor Who magazine.
Fair enough.
So the preview will apparently continue then. Oddly though, usually on the back page of Doctor Who magazine, they have like the top half of that last page is like coming next issue, and then they give a little brief preview. There's no such thing on this because it's probably considered so spoilerific that we can't possibly talk about it, which is something. It's not Doctor Who magazine's choice. I'm sure it's a BBC's thing. Can't say that. You can't show anything. Go. Yeah, so it might just be like, Jodie Whittaker's in it, because that's the one thing about when you're reading the preview of Power of the Doctor and DWM, it's like there's Sacha Dhawan, there's Janet Fielding, there's Sophie Aldred, there's the costume designer, there's a guest star, but where's the main cast? Where's Chris Chibnall in there too? Like they're absent. They're absent from their final episode. It feels weird that they are just basically nowhere to be seen when it comes to promoting this thing. But maybe that'll change. Maybe that'll change starting this week once, the funeral is over and the BBC can get back to sort of semi-normal business. But
maybe. But I mean, if they're doing a split preview, then it kind of makes more sense to have Whittaker
to hold them back. Yeah. But to not even promote it though. I mean, that's like say. I'm amazed that on DWM they wouldn't just sort of say Jodie Whittaker in the next issue, because it's her last episode. Maybe she should have something to say about it. But
yeah,
why are we surprised that TV doesn't know what the hell it's doing? I mean, this is story of our lives.
That's true. I
suppose it also depends on if the interview is done or not by the time this went to press. I'm sure it would have been. I'd be shocked if it wasn't, but
yeah, probably. Who knows? Maybe we'll find out. Anyway, this week, folks, finally, later in the week, might be an actual trailer, an actual, maybe even a synopsis, possibly even a synopsis. Might be out there for people to read about. I'm sure it won't reveal much as well, so don't get your hopes up too much. But the promotion machine, such as it is, will be. I bet you it'll probably drop the same day as the first 3 episodes of Star Wars Andor, just so people can really ignore. It's not like there's anything else going on in the nerd world now with 2 dragon shows, a She-Hulk, and a Star War coming up this week.
Excuse me, there are no dragons to speak of in Rings of Power as of yet, Gilarion.
As of yet, there will be probably. I don't know. It's just easier to say that. But anyway, Yeah, it's not like there's anything else to distract everyone else's attention from a Doctor Who trailer or something. So there. Anyway, Doctor Who, it's good. There's a bunch of good stuff in there. Paul Kirkley does a good job interviewing everyone on that in the magazine. So pick it up, have a look. Good photos of Sacha Dhawan in there. I mean, I really like Sacha Dhawan. He's great. So good for him for getting sort of the center stage in this. But even though we probably should have heard the Doctor herself, but maybe that'll happen in the weeks to come. Hey, remember soundtracks when they would come out and stuff,
Nope.
and you'd get them?
No, I don't.
Yep. It's happening. Doctor Who Flux, the soundtrack, is coming out digitally on September 30th. And on CD on the November 11th. The CD version, incidentally, includes the as yet unreleased, I'm assuming, on CD, Revelation of the Daleks soundtrack, which, of course, was available digitally. But so that's coming out. Yay! Not available for pre-order. I don't know how soon these things are usually available for pre-order, actually, now that I think about it. But
I seem to remember for Series 11 and or 12 soundtracks, it was pre-order was up sooner than what this one is. But
well, it'll be there probably.
It'll get there in time.
Yeah, some good music in there. Sega Nakanola. It's the last bit of music. So I assume that the last three specials will hopefully have their own release. Although you never know. There's a tradition for outgoing composers to just not bother releasing the last bit of music from.
Well, I don't think they have a whole lot to do with it, really.
No, they don't.
You're still waiting for Series 10, aren't you?
Still, no, other people are. I knew that boat had sailed a long time ago. The next Doctor Who Chronicles, issue 6. They've done a few. This is one where they focus on a year in the life of a year in Doctor Who, and 1973, the 10th anniversary year, but not season really, is coming out on October 6th. From Doctor Who magazine. So those are always great. I always love those deep dives into the single years. 73, big year, 10th anniversary season, even though it started in 1972 with Carnival of Monsters. But so that'll be fun. Good companion piece to your Doctor Who season 10 or John Pertwee season 4 box set, depending where you are in the world. So that's coming out from Doctor Who magazine. Also coming from Panini really, is the Daleks, the Ultimate Comic Strip Collection. This is coming out September 30th, which basically has like every Doctor Who Dalek comic ever made from Doctor Who magazine.
Which is less than you'd think, actually, but still a fair bit.
Yeah, 6 complete adventures, including the Obsum Doc Dalek. Remember the Obsum Doc Dalek Killer back in the day when it came out on Doctor Who?
He's great. I've got the big Dave Gibbons book, and he's in that one, and so is the Dogs of Doom. The other ones I'm not so familiar with, but yeah, he was like their version of the Punisher. Like he's just a mean Dalek killing machine. He's kind of great. I kind of hope they show him in live action at some point. I'm not sure how, and make him funny. Like just make him a joke, honestly.
That's right.
He's very much a product of the 1980s, of that kind of like, I'm a gritty, evil guy who I'm worse than the bad guys. But he also has like a shoulder pad with the Dalek balls or whatever spheres on it.
Bumps. Yeah.
So that's like his sort of, that's his what's his name? Sablon Glitz-esque armor. So, which always I thought was pretty cool looking.
I was going to say Tim Shaw because, puts the relics of his he defeated onto his own person. But,
why cheapen Absalom Duck like that? Why do him dirty?
Do you remember the Doctor Who magazine that came out like in 1990 and it had like a floppy little record on it and it had like the Absalom Duck theme?
Vaguely.
Yeah.
Vaguely.
I think. Do I still have that? I don't know if I still have that.
Well, if anybody does, it's you. Yeah.
Yeah, I know all my DWMs are in a box somewhere. Holding a
whenever they came out with those records, it always bugged me. Like it shouldn't, but it bugged me that they were square. Like, no, it's a record. It can't be square.
I know. Well, yeah, and then it was so thin. It was like a thin, floppy, like little piece of plastic, essentially. But it was a record, and it had a really low quality copy of the song.
It is kind of cool that back in the day, obviously you could just mail somebody an MP3 now, but it is kind of cool they could just put that in a magazine and you'd have a record essentially.
Yeah. my parents had a record player, so I listened to it. I think that's cool. I think it came out on a CD some time ago. I don't even remember what it's called. Probably just Some Doc Dalek Killer. But
I mean, it's probably on YouTube. It wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, I want to listen to it now. I don't know who did the music. It might have been Mark Ayers who did that one. I don't know, but this Dalek the Ultimate Comic Strip Collection has sent me down a mental rabbit hole. So I now have to do some more research on this, unless Chris is doing it now while I'm speaking. Moving on. Hey, remember BFI screenings? Those are great. They just had one for the Abominable Snowmen, of course, but they're having one for the Season 2 William Hartnell special coming out on, what day is it coming out in the UK? October 6th or something like that, I think it is. At the BFI, it is Doctor Who, The Time Meddler, on October 29th. That's actually a lot later than I thought. I thought the Blu-ray set was coming out in like early October, but I guess I'm wrong.
I don't know. Has it been announced?
When it's coming out? I guess it hasn't, has it? Yeah. No, it just said that it was coming. So it's probably going to come out like Halloween or November 1st then, probably, if they're having the BFI event, because that's usually what they do. It
isn't always, but it's quite often on the cusp of the release, the BFI screenings.
Right. So hopefully that means it'll come out in early, which maybe it might come out in North America in the same calendar year. That would be amazing. So tickets are on sale on Tuesday, September 20th to go to that. I am imagining that like Peter Purvis and Maureen O'Brien will be there for the screening and stuff for the 4-part story. I mean, there's no really. That was the obvious choice, right? To have as a screener. I mean, you don't want to have a 6-part story with people who probably won't be there. You want to have something with people who are going to be there, and it's a 4-part story and it's fun. So, so good stuff. Yeah. So there you go. Tickets. Links in the show notes. RadioFreeScar.com. Also, a new trailer's dropped because there's a cinematic release date, I think, October 13th for Doctor Who Am I, the documentary from Matthew Jacobs, writer of the Doctor Who TV movie. We talked to him and Vanessa Yule, producers, way back in May, was it? I think, when it was premiering at a science fiction film festival in London, and now it's getting not only a DVD in the UK release, but also a cinematic release from Kaleidoscope. So a new trailer in which I am very briefly glimpsed in the background in that trailer. So
highlight of the whole thing, I'm sure.
Very much so. Very much a highlight of the entire movie is my appearance in it. So Doctor Who Am I trailer. Links in the show notes to have a look at that. It's a good trailer. Good movie too. Well shot. Looking forward to people being able to see that in wide release and on DVD later on. All right, let's waste some time here, as we're always want to do in the Timelash, looking back at this week in history. What happened in the worlds of Doctor Who? I want to point out that in 1980, another labor dispute canceled recording for Warrior's Gate. We said that last week. It keeps going. That's amazing. I wonder how often that's going to happen in this Timelash thing, now that we're into like the union years, you know?
What I want to know about is 1967 and Operation Werewolf. Please explain. You're deep into all this nonsense.
I don't know. I don't know much about it. So Douglas Camfield and Robert Kitts proposed a Doctor Who story called Operation Werewolf.
Which clearly never happened, but yeah.
On September 8th, 1967. Yeah, it was one of those many lost. I mean, I'm mildly surprised that Big Finish hasn't leapt up on that.
Come on, Big Finish, get on it. Werewolves? This thing writes itself.
From the director of The Seeds of Doom, Douglas Camfield's rough outline on the back of a napkin for Operation Werewolf.
With several gin and tonic stains on it.
Probably. The TARDIS lands in Normandy in 1944, 6 days before D-Day.
Did it really? Is that what it is?
Mm-hmm. Apparently.
Chris has done research.
It was novelized from the abandoned serial.
I didn't know that. Oh wow,
I did not either.
Yeah.
When is that? Was that like one of those like the missing adventures that range? So that
I don't know. It just says there's a novel, a BBC Books original novel written by Daniel Bull, based on the abandoned serial.
There are no abandoned Doctor Who serials. They always find their way.
All parts of the buffalo are used.
Definitely.
All parts of the werewolf.
And the werewolf, too. Yep. This day in history, September 18th, 2006, producer Phil Collinson agrees to director James Strong's request for a limited recording in the U.S. for Daleks and Manhattan Evolution. So basically, they sent a camera guy over to shoot
plate shots.
Yeah,
I
shots.
was going to say, I don't remember anything that stands out from the story. Like, it all could have been in England, for all I know.
No, yeah, I know. But no, they actually shot stuff. Yep.
Because if you there's scenes where the Doctor and Martha are on Liberty Island. In the long shot, it's a plate shot that they actually did. In the closer shots, it's the Doctor and Martha in front of a brick wall. And if you look, you can see how the brick wall is not anywhere near the same as the one on Liberty Island.
You know, whenever we're all
days.
very excited about RTD coming back, but then I think to myself, Daleks in Manhattan and a couple of other ones make me go, well, maybe we'll see.
Yep, but at least for the Angels Take Manhattan, they actually went to New York for that one.
That was a proper location shoot. I mean, that was like, 5 years later? It's like, it's amazing how much, I guess we could send like a camera person and a producer over to New York to shoot some stuff for a day. And then literally 2 years later, like, sure, we'll shoot the entirety of Fires in Pompeii in Rome, which I think is where they shot it.
Like, Utah was the first time they sent the actual cast over, right?
Yes. Yep. Utah for Impossible Astronaut, and then, of course, they've been going to the
extraordinarily well. I thought, like those.
Oh
locations.
Yeah, it looks great. And then, of course, they've sent to Spain and the Canary Islands.
Dubai would have been.
Dubai, another one, of course. Yeah, I mean, but just it's almost routine now. It's like, oh, we'll go to the Canary Islands. We'll go to Spain to shoot this Western episode. We'll go to South Africa to shoot
I was trying to think of where 13 went, and that was
3 or 4 episodes. So.
I mean, the classic series, they had they had Tenerife, they had Spain for 2 Doctors, they had.
Wherever JNT wanted to vacation.
Yeah, Amsterdam.
Yeah, Paris, of course. Paris,
Singapore,
is done on the cheap.
No, not really, but
didn't quite work for Singapore. Didn't quite get to Singapore. Yeah. Anyway, also 2015, September 18th, Jenna Coleman reveals that I'm sorry, Shannon Sullivan Duck. I'm not calling it season 35. I'm calling it series 9 will be her last on Doctor Who. Finally, because remember, she was thinking she would leave at the end of Capaldi's first series, and then literally last minute decision. You know what? I'm having fun. I will stay. Write me back in.
I had to rewrite the Christmas special.
The ending had to totally be rewritten, which is why it felt so earned, because we all thought that she was going and she wasn't, and we got her for another year, which is great because I like Jenna Coleman. Apparently, Jenna Coleman is really good in that the Sandman show.
So I've heard.
She's not in it. She's not in it much, but yes, she is good.
Apparently,
have you seen it? Have you seen? Oh,
I have not. No, sorry. Go ahead.
No, because Chris, have you seen it?
Yes, we've watched all 11 episodes. Yes.
Oh, well, I hope you watched them immediately when they came out. Otherwise, it might get canceled because that's how Netflix works. But what were you say, Warren? Sorry.
I was just gonna say. Apparently, Constantine is coming. Speaking of, because she sort of plays that character, but Keanu Reeves played the character in a movie from 20 years ago or so, 17 years ago, and now that's coming back. People are freaking out. I'm like, I saw that movie. Wasn't that great? I don't know what you're freaking out about.
Coming back with the same director, with Keanu coming back as well.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
I mean, I love Keanu Reeves and all this, but how
he
many?
Seems like a nice fella.
How many properties from the 90s, 2000s? Are you going to do Johnny Mnemonic after this? I mean, it's
here's the thing: the people with money are people from the 90s, like who grew up in the 90s
true.
now. So that's you're going to see stuff from the 2000s, and we will be even more clueless because at least we remember stuff from the 90s. Stuff in the 2000s is where we started going, I don't care anymore, and so we're going to doubly not care when my God, blah 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 is coming back. Was that a thing in the first place?
Yeah. Steven, if they drove a dump truck full of money up the driveway for Winona Ryder and Keanu Reeves and Gary Oldman and said, "Hey, we want to remake Dracula," would you watch that?
There are other aspects of Dracula that I'd watch.
Let me take a step back. Have you seen Bram Stoker's Dracula?
Oh yeah, I've seen Bram Stoker's Dracula. Yeah. I think I enjoyed other parts of the movie more so than the parts that they wanted me to remember. But that's a whole other story. Let's move on to September 19th.
Sadie Frost. Sadie Frost. Say no more.
this is exciting. Recording for 100. I'm not calling it 100,000 BC. I'm calling it an Another Child. I believe episode 1 was shot on this very day, September 19th, 1963. I think that was the very first, not the pilot. I think it's the actual first episode of Doctor Who. Very exciting day, obviously. And little did Caroline John know when she was celebrating her 23rd birthday that she would appear in the show in 7 years' time. So already a big day. And indeed, in Spearhead from Space. I wonder if she was recording on her actual birthday. Was Caroline John in 1969 shooting Spearhead from Space? But
could be.
All that happened. 1980, a labor dispute cancels recording for Warriors Gate.
I love how you're excited about labor disputes.
It's
also,
fun.
Even though obviously it makes sense that they shot in 1969 for Spirit of Space, I can't wrap my head around colored Doctor Who being made in 1969.
I know.
Even though obviously it was. I mean,
every time I think about that, I think they were shooting in 1969. John Pertwee was Doctor Who in 1969. It doesn't make sense. It's 1970. That's just it screams to me. It screams to me 1970.
Which shouldn't make a difference. I mean, I wasn't alive for almost all of 1970, so what do I care?
Yeah. Anyway, exciting times. 69. Like, just the color technology was there. I can't remember when BBC One went. I think it was November of 69. When the BBC One went to color. I know BBC Two went beforehand because they were sort of doing it more of an experimental basis.
Yeah, was there a pressing reason they went to color? Like, the reason I say sold so many TVs in England was the coronation, right, in the 50s, but...
Probably because the whole world was starting to watch color, and so we thought maybe we should start broadcasting in color. Yeah,
probably, yeah.
Yeah. I don't think it happened in Australia until like 1974 or something like that. It took a while, but...
BBC One launched a full-color service on 15th November 1969.
There we go.
I mean, we're old enough, barely, to remember in color being still kind of a thing when we were little kids.
And in stereo. And
in stereo is the thing. No, color less so.
You're only about 5 years younger than me. Come on.
We had a black and white TV, though. We had a black and white TV. It was a 13-inch. My parents got it when they bought us an Atari for Christmas one year in the mid-'80s, I think it was. So black and white TVs were still a thing back then.
We only had color. We had a Zenith with dials, so you could... And here's the important thing, pay TV fans in the 1980s, tune in pay TV, because it was scrambled. But if you tuned it just right on your dial TV, you could kind of watch it.
Mm-hmm.
We're dipping back into Bram Stoker's Dracula territory there.
Yes. Yeah, more or less. That's more or less what I used it for as a teenage boy, yeah.
Moving on to September 20th. And September 20th. Happy birthday, Chris Berry and John Wiles, director and producer of Doctor Who back in the day. Sadly passed on since then. Just like Dennis Spooter, who died on that very day in 1986. So, and Mary Ridge, director of Terminus, also died. What a happy day in history. Doctor Who people dying. Not really.
It's like the end of our news list in one day.
Exactly. Yeah. How come we don't announce births of future doctors on this show? Like, why?
I wonder why.
What's wrong with us? I think, in this day... At some point, we're going to do this podcast long enough that a future doctor has probably already been born during the course of...
I'm not sure how I feel about that, but go on.
I know, it's not right. When is Ncuti Gatwa? He was born in what? He's what, 28, 29?
He's 29, yeah.
How many years ago was that? He's born in the 90s, right? That's disgusting. But,
you're hoping and praying he was born in the 90s.
Yeah. 93 or something.
October 15th, 92.
92.
So he'll turn 30 the day before The Power of the Doctor.
Wow, how about
assuming
that?
It goes out when
born slightly before the Clinton administration.
Wow, that's right.
We voted probably before he was born. We're very old, as evidenced by my blabbing about color TV.
You voted. I was only 17 when Ncuti Gatwa was
ditto.
born. So.
Well, keep holding on to that.
Yeah.
Drinking, yes. Voting, no.
That's the Alberta way.
No, I was by the book when it came to drinking. I didn't have my drink until after I was 18. Thank you very much.
No wonder you're a terrible human being.
Thank you.
Wow. This is a moral roller coaster we're going right now.
Yeah, let's move on to September 21st, a big day in history. William Hartnell and Patrick Troughton were both contracted for the Three Doctors on September 21st, 1972. Wow, that's a long ways away from when the episode actually aired, and indeed was produced. I'm wondering when, at one point, they sort of went to, Heather Hartnell came back and says, "Yeah, so old Billy Hartnell's not quite up to as much as you seem to want him to do in this script." And I don't know if that's this contract or if they had already worked that out or not. But
get me Richard Herndl on the phone.
Yeah, yes, he doesn't know it, but he's going to be Doctor Who. So that happened in 1972. Just to give you an indication of how long, stories are in pre-production for. I mean, this is even back then, months in advance, because I don't remember when they shot this, like spring of 70. Actually, no, I'm thinking about this.
It went out in December 72.
Yeah, so I guess not. That's okay. Well,
yeah.
Okay, I take that back. Television was a fly by the seat of your pants industry even in 1972.
Of course it was.
That's what I mean to say.
1993.
I was going to say, previous day and this day in history. What happened that day, Chris?
Recording for Dimensions in Time began.
Boo. That never happened. I'm writing it away out of history.
Yeah. In a Fountain TV studio. That must have been the Ronnie TARDIS scenes with the flying heads and all that.
My darlings. My lord, it's so bad.
I have to think they only shot that in like 2 days. Am I right? Like that's...
I hope they are all inebriated, because I certainly should have been by the end of it.
Yeah. Because, it wasn't much. There wasn't much to that. But yes, Chris, I hear some sighing going on there.
I'm just lamenting the existence of Dimensions in Time.
I thought you liked it. I thought you liked it.
No,
I forget where you stand. Cat likes it. Cat likes everything everyone else hates.
And I'm not going to yuck her yum, but I hate it.
But if something is monumentally panned or universally panned, she generally likes it. So
I admire that stance. Generally speaking, I don't agree with it in this particular case, but I admire it generally.
I mean, she likes you, but
exactly. I guess you got me there, Zing.
Yeah. No, I mean the same logic applies. So.
Wow, this turned into a roasting of me for no particular good reason.
No, I was roasting Chris, Warren. I was roasting Chris.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Well, I'm on board with that.
And still the same logic applies.
I suppose, yes.
Yeah. Moving on. September 23rd. Happy birthday, Fraser Hines.
22nd.
On the 22nd, I looked on the next. 22nd, September 22nd, 1944. Fraser Hines born. So he's 78 years old. Holy crap. Still seems quite young and spry as young Jamie. This is the moment in history, though, folks. September 22nd, 1975, where Terrence Dicks, who was unhappy with what Robert Holmes did to his script for The Brain of Morbius, phones him up and says, I don't know, don't put my name on it. Just think of some bland pseudonym to put out. And then, of course, it goes out as Robin Bland. So that day in history happened.
Why do I find that funny still? I don't know, but I do.
It is amusing. It's very amusing. You never heard, you had to pry that anecdote out of Terrence Dicks out of a convention, though. He would never offer it willingly.
that and every other anecdote, yeah.
Exactly, yeah. Peter Grimwade on September 22nd, 1980 is commissioned to write Time Flight. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Well, here we are.
I don't blame Peter Grimwade
anybody
for that.
anybody who ever invents time travel.
I was going there too.
September 22nd, 1980.
Yeah.
Make that one of your stops. Peter Grimwade, get him to miss his bus. Mm-hmm. Get him to not answer that phone call.
You don't want to do this, Peter. Yeah, you don't want to do this. You got a legacy, and this is not it. So don't do it.
But Barbara Clegg, the year after, storyline for Enlightenment at least.
She was commissioned to provide a story alignment on September 22nd, 1981.
Which some people hate. They're wrong.
Who hates
some
that?
Some people don't like it. I don't remember
Warren,
exactly who. But...
Warren, is this you inventing people who hate things so that you can argue?
I don't remember where, but I remember people crap talking it. I'm like, you're wrong. Oh. It's great.
Well, because you do this a lot. You say that, everybody hates...
I never said everybody. I have never said that.
No,
I have
but
never
you
said that once.
You focus on people hating gridlock for some reason. Who hates gridlock? I don't know.
I hear complaints, then I don't remember who said it, basically. There you go. Yeah.
It was Chris, apparently. Okay.
What's your take on Enlightenment, Chris, if you can back me up on this, please?
Boring.
There we go. Why am I celebrating this? I like enlightenment.
Well,
I don't dislike enlightenment. I just wish it had a better pace.
I love it. Love it to bits. Fortunately, we never got to love the story Parasites, written by Bill Lyons, who on the very same day that Barbara Clegg was commissioned to provide a storyline, Bill Lyons also submitted one for a story called Parasites, which of course was never made. I'm assuming that never wound up as a novel or a big finish play. Might still be.
I just Googled it and I couldn't find anything, so.
Not a thing, so.
So there are lost Doctor Who things, although, I mean, storyline and script are not remotely the same thing.
No. So there's Eric Sayward hammering out emails, hammering out letters on his Praxis typewriter to send off to various writers. Crapshoot sometimes. You get one that works in Barbara Clegg, and not one for Bill Lyons.
Or Time Flight.
What a trilogy right there. What a day for Billie Piper to be born in 1982. Happy 40th birthday to Billie Piper.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so yeah, really depressing considering she was 20.
She was 12. She was 12 in Doctor Who.
She played 19 and she was 20 19. Whatever when we heard of her be announced
and she was already famous, which is the crazy thing.
Oh, she was famous as a 15-year-old or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, how old would she have been? 22 when they started shooting Doctor Who in 2004. She's now 40. Almost half her life has gone by since she started talking to her, doing Doctor Who.
Gone by seems like a little dismissive, doesn't it?
A little
bit. She's done other stuff in her life, of course, but happy birthday, Billie Piper.
But nothing remotely consequential, of course.
No, I know. I mean,
I'm sure she'd rather forget the whole time with Lawrence Fox, but
Yeah, okay, I went somewhere.
Yeah. Can't forget the time that she spent with me on stage at Chicago TARDIS that one year, though. So.
Of course, yeah. She every night in her diary, she's like, I still think of the time.
I can't erase this terrible memory from my mind. I can't stop the confusion in my mind, she says.
Had a great time having the term shipping being introduced to me for the first time on stage at a convention in Doctor Who by this absurdly tall, gangly geek. That's exactly what happened.
Dear diary, never talk to Canadians.
No.
Fair.
I love how much recording happens at the same time. This is my new favorite thing about this revamped Timelash, is that, so spoiler alert, I think starting next week is our James Hawes mini-scope, and it carries over 2 episodes, and we talk about Christmas Invasion New Earth, and School Reunion in the second episode. Scenes for Christmas Invasion and New Earth were both being shot at the same time, on the same day. That's the same production block, which is astounding to me. And we go into that a little bit, thinking how behind schedule they were, that they were having to shoot stuff in the same studio with different crews.
Just reading that. Imagine working on it.
Right? I mean, you'd think you'd hear on the other, what's these? Oh, they're shooting something from my other episode, says James Hawes, but so that was happening. Same thing with...
takes a special kind of... person, be it the director or the actor or whatever, just to keep all that stuff straight in your brain.
Totally, yeah.
I mean, I know stuff is written down. You have lots of reference material, but even still, you got to keep it straight in your brain, and that's tough.
And a continuity person to help you out with it, but still, yeah, it is still probably hard. And as a director, you're in charge of all that, so.
Yeah. I mean, we dump on actors a lot on this show because, they're actors, and but in recent years, just thinking about what they actually have to do and how hard it actually is to convey something, but also you have to hit your marks on the floor, and you have to be where the cameras want you to be, and to remember stuff, and where am I in this scene? Because I don't remember anything about this. We shot the first half of the scene 3 weeks ago, and
what emotions do you have to remember and convey and pick up on? Yeah.
It's tough.
And you're the face of the show, so you have to be perfect in every way until you're off that show. Which is also probably mentally taxing.
Yeah. And it's not like you had a rehearsal or anything. You're just sort of well, I know the lines, so I got to... Yeah. Not an easy life for actors. There, I said it. Good job, actors. Well done. This also, same day, in 2010, both the Doctor's wife was being recorded at Dragon Studios in Pencode, Wales. Also, Night Terrors, same studio, same day, same time.
Mm-hmm.
Madness.
Same bat time, same bat channel.
Yep. same thing for 2012. Recording of The Snowman and Hyde was going on at BBC Rothlock. Same day, different stories, broadcast months apart, being recorded on the same day.
Mm-hmm.
Television. Absolutely crazy stuff. Back in September 23rd, 1963, the Masters of Luxor, which was for the longest time going to be the second serial in Doctor Who to kick off the show, was finally replaced with what would become known as the Daleks. So a monumental decision in history. Well, this script is ready to go, so I guess we're going to go with it. And the rest, as they say, is history. This day in history. Quite something. Also, Britain
408 AD. I'm not overly familiar with that one.
Was that a Malcolm Hulk one too? I just attribute literally every unmade story of the Hartnell era to Malcolm Hulk. But yeah, it was a historical that was going to be in that first season. I've heard the title, but that's it. That's the only one I've known. So.
Yeah, it was Mac Hulk. Story involved the departure of the Romans from Britain around the start of the 5th century.
Right.
In the midst of clashes against the Celts and the Saxons. Submitted September 63.
But abandoned.
The serial's conclusion echoed that of An Unearthly Child too closely. An amended version was hopefully going to occupy the 6th slot of season 1, so serial F. To be directed by Christopher Barry.
Who did not.
But the decision was made the production block did not need another historical story. So the story was abandoned and then, of course, the slot occupied by the Aztecs.
There you go. Written by John Lacroix, who, of course, wrote Marco Polo, which was the first proper Doctor Who historical. And it's been found, all 7 episodes, by the way, Marco Polo. We should have probably mentioned that off the top, but more on that later. They haven't at all. Still missing. Marco Polo, still missing. Still missing from the archives. Anything else from the 23rd you want to talk about? Or we'll move on to the last day of our time last year?
Yeah, it's the last day.
Okay. Last day it is, as we find the energy to push on here. Terry Nation, remember him? He's commissioned to write a story called The Red Fort, which I'm sure was probably
that's where he houses his army.
Possibly. It wasn't a Dalek story, I know that. I think that's maybe what became Keys of Marinus, possibly. I'm not sure what the story is behind the Red Fort.
It was going to be set during the British Raj in India.
Yeah, that probably would have been racist. Let's be honest here.
Yeah, dodged a bullet there. That would have been tricky. So, good thing that never happened. Was that? Are you looking into that right now, Chris? Was that from that become Keys of Marinus? That same slot, or?
It does not say.
Okay.
Does not say.
Have to imagine that then, I guess. 1970.
The slide.
You want the slide?
Yeah,
Victor Pemberton's The Slide. Yeah,
no, I'm
slide.
Sorry, Victor. No, thank you.
Victor Pemberton. Yeah, his story, The Slide, was rejected on September 24th, 1964. Would have to wait 3 more years to make his mark on Doctor Who.
It's just endless slide whistles inside the TARDIS.
The story focused on a sentient form of mud that tries to take over the minds of British town folk. So. Not really a million miles away from...
Star Trek ripped it off.
Not a million miles away from Fury from the Deep.
Which is what he wrote, of course.
Script editor David Whittaker rejected it on the grounds that it was derivative of the Quatermass serials of the 50s.
Thankfully, Doctor Who never, ever ripped off Quatermass after that.
Certainly not an entire era.
No.
Pemberton later submitted it to BBC Radio after he removed the Doctor Who elements. The Slide was commissioned as a 7-part serial, which aired on the BBC Light program beginning 13th February 1966. This ultimately inspired Pemberton to adapt The Slide as the Doctor Who story Fury from the Deep, which aired in 1968.
Ultimate Pemberton revenge.
And thus,
he got a lot of mileage from that.
I know, and the original audio version of The Slide is available on the Fury from the Deep animated release too. So
that's cool.
Oh, is it? Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
That's why it sounds familiar to me. So look at that. We're learning stuff together, folks. We're having fun, aren't we? This is fun. We're having fun.
I wouldn't go that far.
1970, September 24th. Katie Manning in a photo call is introduced as the new companion Jo Grant. 1970. So that's pretty cool. Yeah. More Dimensions in Time recording happened in 1993.
So never happened.
I guess this didn't just happen on a weekend when everybody was free.
That's the part. That's the part of the dimensions, or the of the areas where Dimensions in Time was filmed. That's the area where I have been.
Oh, that isn't where the Cuddy Sark is. Is it there? Okay,
yep.
With the boat.
The thing that bugs me most about Dimension of Time, and this is just me, is that there's a Time Lord in it for no particular reason, just hanging out in England. It drives me crazy, and I couldn't tell you why, but it just that's
the part that bothers you.
I know there's so many other things that should do bother me, but that one above all drives me crazy. I couldn't tell you why.
Because some fan had made the costume, and so that's why it's there. I can't remember what's the name of the fan. I can't remember his name. He was the curator for Doctor Who Experience, and I'm blanking on his name.
The whole ramshackle affair. That's Andrew what it is.
Yeah, Andrew somebody. It's not Pixley, but it's somebody.
Well, let's wrap up with 2003 then, shall we?
Let's do it. An agreement is reached to make a new season of Doctor Who, with Russell T Davies as head writer and executive producer, Julie Gardner and Mal Young. Yep. So an agreement was made, but of course, next week in the Timelash, we'll get to the actual announcement, which occurred on September 26th. Exciting days, folks.
A new season is part of the season agenda that this Timelash material we're drawing from. Thank you very much for making it. Yeah. But that's definitely season agenda stuff right there.
Mm-hmm. It's a new series, of course, but anyway, that's it. That's what happened in the Timelash this week, folks. Hope you enjoyed learning and remembering along with us. Just some quick Big Finish notes before we head on out. Torchwood. There's Torchwood Big Finish audio with guest starring Nigel Havers, who is in Sarah Jane Adventures, but also is the former keyboard player for Thought. He's in Big Finish Torchwood SUV coming out next month, October. Also, Unit Nemesis Objective Earth. There's a lot of colons in that.
There are indeed.
It's coming out with
Dawn
featuring
of Justice situation there.
Yeah, featuring Kate Stewart and Osgood. So November, which we're going to be seeing, of course, Kate Lethbridge Stewart in Doctor Who itself on the screen next month, but you can hear her in 2 months' time for Unit versus Axos.
One of the stories written, of course, by our friend Andrew Smith.
Good old Andrew Smith.
Hooray.
Happy recent birthday to him.
Mm-hmm.
And
his, which is also the novelization. His novelization of Full Circle just hit 40 years.
Oh, wow.
40 years on September 15th, I think it was.
Did he post about that? Is all okay? I'm assuming you just didn't pull that off the top of your head, but
no, it was a Target Books group Facebook thing.
Okay. And lastly, it's out now from Big Finish. 10th Doctor Classic Companions. There's David Tennant's 10th Doctor with Ace. I wonder if we'll see more of her later on, and Nyssa and Leela, along with Little K9, of course. So that's in various stories, 4 different stories. Written with the 10th Doctor. Back when David Tennant was very eager to do any work possible from his actual home during the glory days of the pandemic, and we're still seeing the results of that.
You got to give him this. That man loves himself some Doctor Who. He just loves it.
He does. He'll go back to it. It's like, yeah, whatever. 12, 14 years after I've been, sure, let's go back. Let's shoot 3 more episodes. Why not? Good on you, David Tennant. Good on you, fella.
I think Georgia also just likes to make him work as well, just to keep him busy.
That could be it too. Get him out of the house. Yeah.
One day, Chris, you should write a sitcom about that, a fictionalized version of this family, because you created enough of it. You already have basically a whole bunch of brainstorming at work here. Yeah. So you might as well come up with the Tennant.
Have you watched Staged?
Nope, I have not.
You should watch Staged.
Now you told me I should. I'm not going to.
They're only like 12 minutes long. I never watched them.
That's anybody.
And there's only like 12 of them plus a couple specials, as it were.
Yeah. Sounds like work.
No, I meant to watch it. It's on Canopy.
Or
Canada.
Warren, if you prefer, there was a book released of all the scripts. You could read Staged.
Oh, now we're talking. That's a little better.
Right?
Yeah.
It's a book.
Won't do that either. Yeah. Let's be honest here.
Yeah, I wonder how dated that show will seem now. given that, it was born of pandemic Zoom calls, and it's basically what that show is. And like it'll feel like almost quaint, like, oh, remember that? Remember those days when we couldn't leave our house and stuff?
If it's any enticement, Warren, you can see Judi Dench swearing.
Okay.
Dame Judi Dench swearing.
Dame. I guess. I don't know why you're trying to convince me to watch this.
It's fun. That's why.
I'm sure it is. I've just...
and like Steven says...
I barely watch anything.
It is short. I watched the first episode. I never for some reason went back to it, but I enjoyed it. But
didn't Erica like marathon it or something?
Nope. She did not.
Oh. Okay.
So anyway, on that note, that's it. That's it for this episode. Next week, hey, maybe we'll have a trailer to talk about. You never know. You never know with this stuff as we approach. Apparently, we are within a month now of Doctor Who, the final Doctor Who episode of the Jodie Whittaker era airing on BBC One. And other VPNs around the world at the same time. So stay tuned to this podcast, folks, and we'll build up the excitement and hype and apparently apathy together with you, the listeners. So
hype-athy, that's what it is.
Hype-athy. And until next time, I'm Stephen in Edmonton.
Warren in Vancouver.
And Chris in Edmonton.
So long for now.
You've been listening to Radio Free Skaro. Find us online at radiofreeskaro.com. Follow us on Twitter and Tumblr at Radio Free Skaro. Subscribe to us on iTunes and donate to the show at patreon.com/Radio Free Skaro. Thank you.